I told you, Neilabot's upstairs dancing to the 1987 Expose song, Point of No Return. That's the kind of shit I wake up to. I'm good, girl. Do you remember General MIDI 1, GM1? Shit was revolutionary. Came out, I think, in about around 1983. It took way too long to come out. But General MIDI 1 is not a sound font, although it is, but it's general sound font. It's not, people don't use it for its sound font. You know, you turn on a Casio or something, that's pretty much General MIDI. The best way to describe MIDI or the proper usage of it is like a piano scroll. Me and my bass player Kevin, his parents used to collect antiques, and this was outrageous for the time too. He was a little bit well-to-do. In his living room, he had a player piano, and I remember on the way to our first rehearsal, he stopped. He's like, "Do you want to hear it?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So he loaded a scroll into the piano, and the piano started playing by itself. It's like a music box. From the late 1800s, this piano was. It was the first time I ever seen a player piano, besides in the mall or something, like at the Kurzweil or Kimball Music Store or whatever. But that's pretty much what MIDI does. You think of it like a piano scroll. The proper way to use it is first you have to transcribe it. You have to transcribe a piece of music or a piece of percussion into MIDI. Usually they have computers do it, but it's not very accurate. And it has to be going over by hand. Like if you want the best drum sound, if you don't even have a drummer, but you want to make an album, you would get samples of the entire drum set, probably 10 or more samples of each drum, including cymbals, and you would get them at different velocity hits, hitting a snare drum gently, hitting a ride cymbal gently, a ping or a ping on the bell, and you'd work it up to velocity zones. 1 is the lightest you can go, 2 a little bit, until you have maximum velocity. And what MIDI will do is it will trigger, say, 48,000 kilohertz waves, multi-zoned, multi-layered waves of a drum kit, like a drum machine you program, but you're using samples of the drum set, so it's absolutely beautiful sounding. You could do that with, like, if you have a piece of music and you have all sitar samples. I've done this before too, where you have a whole sitar sampled, or at least one key of the sitar, and it will send MIDI information to those samples, and it's about as real can get. It's amazing sounding. No, and it's never been they've never finalized it. It's still an open-ended thing, MIDI. Like you got you had 16 channels to transcribe different information, but you can reroute shit. A lot of people just use MIDI as they use MIDI patterns. Like your drum set or your Casio keyboard or whatever will come with drum beats. Those drum beats are MIDI. Most of the time they sound like shit because it's going to a GM1 sound font. If you trigger it extraneously or to another device, it'll sound amazing. If you ever turn on the accompaniment to those Casio keyboards and just with your left hand form chords, you can write songs like that. It's all MIDI. I need a shuffle feel, a standard shuffle, a standard bossa nova, a standard merengue, a standard teen towel, a standard train beat, a standard mercy beat, a standard surf beat, a rock and roll beat, Latin beats. Nobody. The thing about the Casio, it's like or any GM1 that houses GM1 shit. Nobody ever uses it. It's like a brand. They only use 10% of it. Back in the day, I was just thinking about it. I'd be in the basement with Summer just auditioning MIDI accompaniments and triggering it to external instruments. Like, I would make the best songs because I had an upright bass sample, and instead of using a bass guitar, I don't have an upright bass. I can play one, but I don't have one. I had the whole neck sampled. I would do all my bass lines with samples of an upright bass. Used to just be in the basement with her sliding on my pole and my right hand just tapping accompaniments. Listening to Mellotron, listening to Chamberlin, listening to Orchestron, Novotron samples, Optagon. The first time I realized you don't even need a fucking band is when I moved into this apartment on St. Joseph about 20 years ago, maybe. And there was a guy in there. He was the groundskeeper, and he was a cool dude. He was into Bowie, he was into horror movies, and what his thing was, he had two Electribes and a Sony computer, Korg Electribes. They're used for dance music, and they're loaded with GM1 shits. It's all what you can do with it. You add distortion to that shit or echo, and it sounds like a new instrument. The keyboard players are always doing that, using stomp boxes. And he was just going onto the internet, pulling select MIDI files, and then sending him to his Korg Electribe while I played guitar. And it'd be just the two of us in a room with MIDI accompaniment, and him adding effects and DJing with it as it's playing. I'm like, you don't even need a band. You could just stand in here with two Electribes and some MIDI. Like, if I was to sign an artist these days and I wanted to be really hard on him, I'd give him a $500 Casio. I'd be like, write a song, write songs on this, come back and show me, and just use the program, use the general MIDI one, accompaniments in there. You have to choose the chord changes and the key. And I'll turn it into a record. I would take those accompaniments and send them to real samples of real things. And do that, because those Japanese guys that transcribe that shit in Casio, Yamaha, or what have you, or Kurzweil, are masters at putting all music, including world music, into a box. You know what I mean? You have to have good sound fonts. And not so much sound fonts, I would just use sound samples. That's what I was doing when they took Insidious Reprobate down. I was taking Slayer songs and putting them into my sampler, and they came out better than the fucking record. I swear to God. And I just sat, and it's a lot of work. You have to load the MIDI, assign 10 different velocity shots for each drum. You got 2 kick drums, 1 snare, 5 toms, 6 cymbals, hi-hats, But once you're done with the work, you just sit back and you're fucking amazed. Because sometimes, the internet has not updated their MIDI since the internet came out. Depending on the MIDI, because you can download other people's MIDI. When you're downloading MIDI, sometimes the transcribing is so fucking bad that you're like, who transcribed this? A fucking idiot? I've heard Ramon songs where they're fucking up. It should be in the exact tempo of the recorded album, the exact key, down to the percentage. It's 10% flat, it's 10% sharp. And, but other times, the internet has not, mastered that yet. There is no one set of, and usually they use MIDI for everything. They used to use it for ringtones. You're like, that sounds like shit. And it's like, yeah, but if you put it through a sampler, it would sound fucking amazing. Nobody ever figured out how to use MIDI correctly. Summers heard every goddamn MIDI accompaniment there ever was. That's what we used to do. And then you can play with the pitch. And then you get a pitch down drum set or something, and it doesn't even sound real. It sounds better than real. And you got some girl sliding on your pole, and she thinks you're George Martin. You're the fucking best, Yeah, I know. Thank you, man. And she loves it. You know? Musical bitch. She knows. And you just program fucking 4 chords into a MIDI sequence, and you could sit there all night and listen to it. Write lyrics. Yeah, no one knows how to use MIDI correctly. I even got as far into using MIDI guitar, where you can plug your guitar into a MIDI box, and then you're from your MIDI box into the keyboard, and it will try to suss out. It's not very good at polyphonic shit. Usually you got to have a special pickup for your guitar for each string. Your pickup will have six tiny little pickups in it underneath the string. And it'll send that information to the... And it's something I always wanted to do with the band, too, is go out and play MIDI guitar. I seen Vernon Reid do that at the RPI Fieldhouse back in 1990. And it blew my fucking head apart. I was like, what is that? There's strings, there's lush orchestra and pads coming out his guitar. The drummer's triggering a sampler pad. That kind of shit left a bite. I would like to go out there with just... You know? And you can do that. Have some dancing bitches on the side of the stage. General MIDI bitches. General MIDI bitches. You know, you don't got to rely on a band. It's fail-safe. It's beautiful. It's /rave /rock and roll. You just got to have the samples, you know? And I still have all my samples. I have incredible samples of vintage instruments. And I'm not talking about 1 or 2 samples. I mean the complete... Because back in the millennia, people were going crazy selling you wave files. You know, you got you have like an old Ludwig mod orange kit, and somebody sampled it. You know, and they put tender love and care into it. They sampled the tom 20 times with different velocities. And you know, they even did ghost notes and buzz rolls and paradiddles, so that you can program in some swing, and then after you're done, I mean, that's how you make a fucking record. It really is. It's nice to have a drummer too, but on the tracks you can get the drummer. That's what you do, and it's robo good. You know, pinching those little Milabot titties, that is real hard today. And she's sitting on my lap. I can't help it.